Most of us learn about raising children from growing up in our own families, but as times and locations change, so do the needs of children. Helping parents make the adjustment is the goal of an organization called The Parenting Journey. To tell us about the organization and the screening of a documentary are its executive director, Peterson, and the manager of training, Andrele. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to start with Maury. Talk about the history here, because this is an organization that, under a different name, goes back, what, 30 years?
Yes, Parenting Journey has been around for more than 30 years. It started as the Family Center, based in Somerville, as a mental health clinic for families. And then over the course of time, our parenting programs were developed to serve the families, and the signature program was called Parenting Journey. In 2012, we closed the clinic and rebranded the organization in 2013 and named the organization Parenting Journey. And so we've served over 50,000 parents in some iteration through our programs. We see families directly in Somerville, and they come from all over Greater Boston. And then we also have the train the trainer model. So we take our curriculum and we train other human service workers in our curriculum so that we can really reach even more families.
And Job, talk about the people you train and what you're doing with them.
Well, we work with healthcare professionals, anybody who works in the field. So it's not necessarily for someone who is a therapist or clinician by any means, but it could be someone who just works with families. So we have family partners who come through and learn the curriculum so that they in turn can go back to their community and offer that same curriculum to the families in their neighborhood.
Right. I want to start with an excerpt from the documentary, because I guess that sets the tone for really why your work is so important.
High school graduation rate, we know, is strongly related to things that occur long before high school. Can you write your name?
My name starts with an A.
There's your A. So reading in third grade, the reading level is a strong predictor of whether or not you're going to graduate from high school. Well, what predicts reading in third grade?
Mama!
Yes, sweetheart.
The number of words you know when you're between the ages of 2 and 3. Oh, so what predicts the number of words you know when you're 2 or 3 years old?
Are you happy?
So we can keep tracking back.
See the doctor?
Beginning from the moment of birth, 700 new synapses are being formed every single second.
Maury, the age that the doctor was talking about here is pretty early, and you know, in my generation, we didn't think of that as a time when you were getting educated, but I guess there was something pretty important that was going on.
Absolutely. You know, children, the research shows that from a very young age, children are learning and growing, and toxic stress and stressors that parents are under in today's society really has a huge impact on their growth and development.
Getting back to Andrele, what about the way children are living today? Because, you know, unlike in my age, you know, when most of the moms were home, they had lots of kids, so you had older siblings talking to you all the time. I mean, today it's different. Parents are working, there aren't as many siblings talking to you, so what do families have to do about that?
Oh, right now, I guess it's a big challenge and a big concern, and I think that's a big part of why Parenting Journey is here, is helping parents make those connections and understanding that how they were parented, be it positive or negative, is, you know, influencing how they currently parent, and that there are choices to be made. The reality that our society is very different. We don't have as much time, and the norms or the roles have changed, that parents are now trying to work full-time jobs and come back to an even more full-time position of parenting and trying to juggle it all. And we don't have the same supports of the village that used to be present to raise our kids. So that reality is very much impacting how it looks in the home right now, and it's affecting the parents. And I can speak from a personal level that it leaves you sometimes feeling inadequate, or that you're not doing a good job because you're trying to do it all at the same time, and really we can't. So we see that right now in the homes that we're servicing right now.
Maury, what about the things that people have to do differently these days? One time we used to think this is about whether you use physical punishment with a child, but I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that.
Yes, at Parenting Journey, we really focus on the parent as an individual first and foremost, and that you really need to know yourself. And we help parents kind of walk through their histories of how they were parented, and reflect on what is good about them and their strengths and assets so that they can build on those things as they go forward. A lot of times with the stressors of today, people are just kind of running and gunning and trying to get through the day. And we really teach a lot of self-reflection techniques so that parents can slow down, be present with their children, and make some new ways and new behaviors to improve their relationships with their families.
Andrele, what kind of new behaviors are we talking about here?
We're speaking of a mindfulness, more coming from that approach of being aware of why you do certain things, and maybe considering if you want to change and make changes in terms of just the choices and the patterns you're practicing. So it's really that tool of mindfulness in terms of understanding what you need, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not in a position to be able to take care of your kids. So when a parent can understand when they're overwhelmed or when they're at their limit, and they can recognize that they need to tap into resources and supports, and sometimes those resources are limited. You may not be able to take a vacation, but knowing how to meditate or maybe taking some time and just self-care practices can make you that much more present and able to be a better parent, for lack of a better word.
Maury, one of the points of this documentary is that some other countries seem to be getting at least better results than we are. And if you look at those countries, there's more support for early education, more extended family leave, usually with pay. And some parents are watching is sure that's correct, but what can we do about that?
I think there's, I think people need to stand up and really kind of advocate for what they need. I think that, we take a very two-generational approach in how we're serving our families, and it's really difficult when you're working full-time, and, there are a lot of legislative agenda items out there for people that they can get involved in, whether it's paid family leave, raising the minimum wage. We work with a lot of folks in Somerville that are, working 2 and 3 jobs sometimes. We also offer our programs in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. So we have a lot of immigrants that are coming to our center, and they have a lot of additional challenges related to poverty and potentially low education in their country of origin. And I think that there are a lot of initiatives that people can support and get behind to really change the dynamics that are currently in place.
And we're going to bring up one of these other excerpts in the documentary about that point.
All right, so what other sounds does animals make?
The part of this argument that I like the most is the social equality aspect of it. What's socially fair is also economically efficient. So if you were a government or somebody asking, where should I put my money, in the stock market or in a young child, you'd say, in a young child. Because you're going to get a bigger payback in terms of earnings of the child, in terms of reduced crime, reduced incarceration, reduced litany of social problems.
If you would ask, what really matters for kids when they're very young? I mean, what do we all want for our children? We want them to be happy and healthy and thriving. We want them to be growing and learning and being all they can be. This is a core value that we all share.
Andrele, talk about the screening, and I guess this is not just for professionals who are in service. You're talking about parents here too, right?
Yes, yes. I think presenting the reality of what parenting really looks like is helpful. It removes the ideal image of what we're striving to reach, which is probably not realistic. And I think the documentary sheds some light on what it looks like to really parent in America and the challenges and the obstacles that we do confront daily. And once we can present it from a perspective that it's a issue that affects many people, it normalizes it and it removes that burden of guilt that a parent may feel as they're struggling to make it work.
Right. And as you mentioned, Maury, this is going to be when exactly, the screening?
So the Raising America is going to be on Wednesday, December 9th from 5:30 to 8:30 at the WGBH Theater, where we have room for 200 people. So if there are folks that want to learn more about it, they can go to our website, which is parentingjourney.org. Renee Boynton-Jarrett, who is the pediatrician who's featured in the film, will be part of our panel. So we'll be showing the first part of the series and then having a wonderful panel discussion led by one of our board members, Dr. Barry Zuckerman, who is a pediatrician at Boston Medical. So we'll have a Q&A, so there'll be a really great discussion following the film.
Thank you both very much, Maury Peterson and Andrele Job from the Parenting Journey. In a moment, we'll tell you about a blend of musical flavors at a concert in Roxbury.